I was the motivational one, you know what I'm saying? The interview, the young lady right here, Black Panther Party, and several other organizations, and we're gonna follow up the rest of her interview right now.
Okay.
Okay, so where were you at on the last part? You were saying?
I said basically the first time that African, come on, fall on this chair.
Don't fall.
Wobble. I'm not talking about the dance. I'm not talking about the dance. I'm not talking about the dance. The first, when we talk about the history of racism in Dallas, Texas, I'm gonna start off with Santos Rodriguez. And the reason I say that because it's very prolific. When Santos Rodriguez was killed in 1973 by Officer Darrell Kane, he had previously killed 2 African Americans before Santos Rodriguez. And the Dallas Police Department knew that this man was a psychological killer. The reason I said that, he shot Michael Moorhead while Michael Moorhead was still on the ground. He put 8 bullets into that boy. When they brought Michael Moorhead to the funeral home, several judges was brought in to look at his body, and they did a report on it, and they said the person who killed this boy enjoys killing, because the way that the bullets were displayed in his body, he laid over Michael Moorhead when he shot him in the back of the head. And so the way that the bullets and the blood spray was, he enjoyed having blood and brains all over him when he killed this boy.
That makes no sense.
So he turned right back around and got Santos Rodriguez, and I asked everybody to go and get that case because it's one of the most shameful cases in Dallas, Texas. He went and he accused, it was a robbery up on Cedar Springs. Santos Rodriguez was a 12-year-old boy, and he lived with his brother David and his grandfather down there off of Little Mexico Village. Anyway, there was a report one night that somebody had broken into a candy or soda machine up off of Cedar Springs. That's where now the Hunt real estate is at. It's $1 billion real estate. But you got at point at that time, that was the barrio, that was El Barrio. That's where the Mexicans lived at. But anyway, Darrell Kane came to Santos Rodriguez's house. His grandfather was 80 years of age. He did not speak any English. Came and took David out, took Santos out, put him in the back of a police car, handcuffed him. David was in the back, Santos was in the front, and he held a .357 Magnum to Santos's head and said, "I'm gonna make you tell me the truth about who stole the soda pop." And he clicked the gun once, the bullet did not come out. He clicked it twice, and he blew Santos's brains out with a .357 Magnum. Santos was still handcuffed in the front seat of the car. His brother David was in the back seat, and blood pooled around David's feet. Like I said, Officer Darrell Kane only received 5 years, but the reason he got that time is because that was the first time that the blacks and browns in Dallas, Texas ever got together and they tore up downtown Dallas. And that's where you got the Black Panther Party, Al Lipscomb, and that's where the Brown Berets all came together. And that's where you got a lot of the political activism right now. A lot of these Hispanics, like Domingo Garcia, just a bunch of them got together. And Paul Madrano, they got together and they led a the first serious riot in Dallas, Texas, burning police cars, burning police motorcycles. And I mean, they really, really listened, but it was only through pressure that this officer was indicted for that. His mother, Bessie Rodriguez, she was allowed to come home for 3 days to attend her son's funeral, and then she went back to prison to serve out her sentence. But can you imagine that 40 years without an apology, 40 years without justice for the murder of her 12-year-old son? So we have to really, really look at this thing has been going on all the time with killing brown and black folks. So that leads into police terrorism. We have to be aware that it's not police brutality. We've always been terrorized by the police, and it goes back to even the days of slavery when they had the patty rollers, or they had the patty rollers were people. Those are the original police. Those were the people that were paid to patrol the plantations to make sure that the slaves didn't get out of line, to whip them, you know what I'm saying? So we've always had that in our community. If we could patrol our own communities, we wouldn't have that. And that's what the Black Panther Party was talking about back in the 1960s, was policing of your own community. And what we have right here, this is some of the original propaganda done by Brother Emory Douglas, who did the propaganda for the Black Panther Party back in the 60s. And just kind of want you to see some of his visual art where he was actually talking about, this is the art of liberation. See, that's a woman right there saying, if the police come to my door, they ain't got to worry about no warrant. I'm ready for them. See, people were armed. Not only were they armed with knowing how to protect themselves as far as with guns, they were armed consciously. They knew what was up. They knew about self-communication. They knew about self-governing. You know what I'm saying? But see, we don't know that right about now. We've gotten comfortable. We don't have enough unity in our community to get together to say, you know what, we gonna patrol our own communities. That's how the Panther Party got started. You know what I'm saying? By community patrols. And as you can see right here, this is just a lot of other his art. This magazine is no longer an issue, but I was lucky to be able to get this magazine and look at some of his art, and also see when Emory Douglas came. And see, and it also talks about the government. Don't support the greedy, give to the needy. See, the Black Panther Party was doing grocery programs. The Black Panther Party, the reason that you have lunch programs right now in your schools is because the Black Panther Party was feeding the children before they went to school. The reason that you have clinics in your community right now is because the Panthers was setting up community-based clinics. You know what I'm saying? The Panthers was taking people to the prison to visit their loved ones. The Panthers was doing grocery programs. The Panthers was setting up law clinics in the community. The Panthers were the first ones to really start doing sickle cell anemia testing in the community. See, not only were they talking about military defense, they would talk about community defense. But J. Edgar Hoover said that we would have said, besides Martin Luther King, we were the greatest threat there ever was. And the reason why we were the greatest threat there ever was because we started doing for self. We started saying, you know what, we can take care of us.
That sounds like something we need to start doing again.
Yes, most definitely. And that's why they had to be destroyed. And see, you see right here where the brothers got the picture right there? He says, what? He said, People's Free Food Program. People could get food. You know what I'm saying? And I tell people to go online and look up Emory Douglas. I mean, these pictures may not be able to see them, but go online and just see how powerful these images were. You know what I'm saying? You got the brother right there with the pistol saying freedom off the pigs. You know what I'm saying? They were very serious about that. And when we talk about seriousness, we also talk about Oscar Grant. I tell everybody to go see that movie Fruitvale. But when you look at Oakland, California, that's where the party got originally started at. But when we talk about Oscar Grant, they don't talk about Lavelle Mixon. Lavelle Mixon is the brother who decided upon himself after they killed Oscar Grant that he was going to get, he went to his sister's apartment. And the apartment, the way that the apartment was, it had one way in and one way out. He knew he was going to die. He called 6 police officers, said something was going on. They went up. Nobody came back down. Lavelle Mixon killed him. But see, they don't talk about Mark Essex. This is somebody else I'm telling you about. Mark Essex was the brother back in the 70s before Chris Donner, who took over the Hilton in New Orleans, and he bumped off about 13 police officers in one day. And he set the hotel on fire. And when you talk about New Orleans, there was some bad boys come out there, but look him up, his name was Mark Essex. But see, they're not gonna tell you about that. And then Chris Donner, if you get a chance, read his manifesto. Read his manifesto and go back even further than that. Look at Gabriel Prosser, look at Denmark Vesey, look at Nat Turner. We call him the Right Reverend, the all-knowing prophet, Nat Turner, because he said God told him to go and free his people. And see, even before that, you gotta look at Toussaint Louverture.
Sounds kind of like Moses a little bit, huh?
Man, you gotta when you talk about it, you gotta go back to Toussaint Louverture. That's why Haiti is in the condition it is right now, because he beat the French's ass. He kicked them off with the Battle of San Domingo. San Domingo was a precursor for the War of 1776. So he said I gotta go again, but hopefully I'll be able to come back and give y'all some knowledge. come back and give y'all some knowledge. But if y'all want to come Wednesday night to the MLK Center, to the new Black Panther Party community meeting.
Hey, I don't mean to cut her off like that, you know what I'm saying? We running over time, but we coming right back.
I'm doubted, so let me shout it. So sick about it, you're clouded, your vision of me. So let's reround it. It is essential that I present you this little issue, so soft as some tissue. So just let me rip through, still entertain you, spitting hot venom.